Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Maverick News channel. Let me just check my microphone. Yes, we have proper audio, I believe. I'll check in on the chat in a few moments. The great Superman debate. We're going to have that tonight. Yes, I did go see Superman yesterday. I'm sorry I wasn't here, but I had to do it. So I went to the movies with my wife. One of those rare occasions. And I did see the new Superman film. I'll tell you what I thought of it later. And you guys can weigh in on the conversation when we go to the phones. But before we do that, we'll get into the top news stories of the day. And then to kick off that great Superman debate, Joseph Leonard from Detours, the Motor City, Detroit, will join us live first because I noticed that Joseph, our friend from the Motor City, posted a comment on one of our channels overnight saying that he thinks that the Superman movie is too woke, which is a big criticism coming especially from the MAGA world and Fox News in particular. So we'll get his views on it. He'll kick off the conversation with me off the top. Then we'll go to the phones and the two of us will take your calls and you guys can join in and talk with each other about this too. I think the movie is, without giving you my full review, I think it's actually a pretty deep script, a very complex story. And I'll explain all of that later in the broadcast. But we have other news to talk about tonight as well. Mark Carney disclosing his financial interests and many people coming out to criticize him for potential conflicts of interest. We'll tell you about that. Donald Trump threatening to take Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship away. I don't know if that's even possible, but Trump is saying he's seriously considering it. The MAGA meltdown over the Epstein files continues. And then we've got this situation out in Alberta where the provincial government's ban on transgender athletes competing after a certain age. Anyway, it's not, there are going to be exemptions for out of province athletes. We'll tell you about that as well. So stay with me. There's a whole lot more coming up on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, we're back. And as I said, the Superman movie opened this weekend. And it was pretty successful opening weekend, I have to tell you that, in terms of dollars. Directed by James Gunn. It soared into theaters this weekend, but it's not just box office numbers making headlines, of course. It's also sparking this heated debate. So this movie stars David Corenswet as the Man of Steel. Early reports project a strong opening weekend with estimates ranging from anywhere from $120 to $135 million domestically. It's potentially one of DC's biggest debuts ever. Critics largely praising the film, giving it an 82% certified fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes, with audiences even more enthusiastic, at least those who went to see it, at 95%. And the film's hopeful tone and Gunn's vibrant direction are being called a fresh start for the DC universe. But of course, not everybody's happy about it, with some people saying the movie is just way too woke. We'll just briefly do a little Twitter scroll here, showing you some of the reaction and posting that's going on tonight. So here's Screen Time on X saying Superman earned $217 million for its opening global box office weekend. That's for the whole world, the most for any solo Superman film in history. Well, Dr. Brando says Superman isn't even in the top 25 best opening weekends. Just saying. Yeah, he's got some other stats here that suggest otherwise. And as we pointed out, just within the last couple of days, you can make statistics say just about anything you would like. What else do we have here? Discussing Film on X says Dr. Zaslav has released a statement about the opening weekend of Superman. This is all part of a bold 10-year plan. The DC vision is clear, the momentum is real, and I couldn't be more excited for what's ahead. Yeah, it is sort of a reboot of the DC franchise, and I noticed that especially at the end of the movie last night when Supergirl makes an appearance at the very end, suggesting that there will be a Supergirl movie in the months ahead, probably, as my wife pointed out, probably within the year. So here it is. Here's this statement. It says, 3 years ago, I hired James Gunn and Peter Safran to reimagine and unify the creative direction of DC under one leadership team by breathing new life and excitement into one of the most iconic storytelling franchises in the world. James and Peter's commitment to honoring the legacy of the DC universe while forging something new and enthralling is inspired. I remember my first meeting with James 3 years ago. He spoke about growing up in Missouri and how the characters of the DC universe weren't just stories to him. They were like his family. His personal bond with these DC heroes was personal, and I knew then that James was the right person to bring them to life. His love for the DC world runs deep, and it shines in every frame of his work. This weekend, we watched Superman soar as James Gunn's passion and vision came to life on the big screen. Superman is just the first step. Over the next year alone, DC Studios will introduce the films Supergirl and Clayface in theaters, and the series Lanterns on HBO Max, all part of a bold 10-year plan. The DC vision is clear, the momentum is real, and I couldn't be more excited for what's ahead. My wife was right. So there is all that to look forward to, if you want to look forward to it. You may have other views on it. Now here's something else that's been going on with regard to all this. This is, and I don't normally want to start with entertainment type stuff, but this movie is something of an allegory for the Trump administration and America today. And it really touches on so many of the issues facing our society today that I think it's worth a deeper discussion, because it's a reflection and a way to engage in a lot of these issues in a way that opens up the door for, I think, really valuable discussion. But the thing that I wanted to show you, here it is here. This is generating a lot of pushback for Donald Trump and the Trump administration, because they actually posted a meme, an image of Donald Trump as Superman on social media. White House just posted a picture of Trump as Superman with the caption, "The symbol of hope, truth, justice, the American way. Superman Trump." Here it is. See if I can make it larger screen for you there. So this was a couple of days ago. I mean, so what have we had now with Donald Trump? I think we've had one of him as Jesus. We've had one of him as the Pope, and Superman. Plus, we've seen the Trump trading cards where he's dressed up like Superman, but has a big T on the front of his costume instead of an S. What else has he shared, or has they actually posted? I mean, I don't even want to get into the video of Trump with Netanyahu in Gaza, turning it into a resort. There was that as well. I mean, you got to have one hell of an ego to post images of yourself in all of these things. Here's D, somebody named D. Superman Trump is insane. Superman from Krypton fights race fascists and stands for truth. Trump's from tax fraud, incites coups, and can't spell honest. You've mistaken Lex Luthor for Clark Kent. I mean, this is what's fueling the controversy out there. We can talk about all of this later in the broadcast if you want to comment on this aspect of it. We're going to talk about all things Superman with regard to this new movie and the plot, the script, whether it's woke or not woke. Here's this one. Infinite Worm posts, upset about the state of the world. Here's a wholesome image of Superman doing what we all wish we could, punching Trump into next week. You're welcome. I'm going to take that music down so we don't get a copyright strike. But yeah, you can see the image of the concocted comic book cover showing Trump being punched in the face by Superman. So we'll come back to that story in a while, and then we'll go to the phones and you can weigh in on it as well. And all this started with James Gunn saying that this is a story about Superman being an immigrant, and that triggered a lot of backlash. Now, in other news, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is in the spotlight tonight, addressing mounting concerns over potential financial conflicts of interest tied to his past role at Brookfield Asset Management. So we've got the latest from Ottawa on this, and we can tell you that on Friday, the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner released a disclosure detailing Prime Minister Carney's financial assets, placed in a blind trust, shortly after he won the Liberal Party leadership back in March. The filing revealed that Carney held stock options and deferred share units in Brookfield Asset Management, valued at approximately $6.8 million at the end of last year, along with interests in payment processor Stripe, Inc., which is a company I do not like. But that's my personal review, and my experience with them was very negative. So I don't really, I'm not really feeling too bad about giving them a negative review here. I wouldn't ever use them. But anyway, as that's me personally, that was my personal experience. As a result, Carney has agreed that to an extensive ethics screen, barring him from decisions involving Brookfield, Stripe, and over 100 other related companies, particularly in energy and the real estate sectors. So Carney did have a news conference today in Ottawa, emphasizing transparency. Let me see if I can find that for you. I didn't actually get that queued up, but I'm sure we can probably find it. I have so many other things to talk about tonight. Let's see if we can find Mr. Carney. Let me take a little break while I get that queued for you, okay? Okay, Rick, sure, that would be great. Fantastic. I will see you on the other side of this then. Stay with me.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom. Maverick News. The world is watching.
You know, someone very profoundly once said, many years ago, that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV. The entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
We are back. I don't have video that I can use, so we'll move on. Well, I'll just elaborate a little bit on this for you. But the controversy surrounding all of this is, of course, fueled a lot of criticism, especially from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and MP Michael Barrett, who have accused Carney of dodging transparency. We'll have video on this and comments, maybe later in the newscast and certainly in the days ahead. This is not an issue that's going to go away. Barrett's letter to the ethics commissioner sent in April pointed to Carney's announcement of a $1 billion heat pump program, noting that Brookfield's subsidiary Enercare offers heat pump retrofits. Barrett questioned whether Carney's policies could potentially enrich him, given his past role as Brookfield's chair and head of transition investing. So these are, ongoing. This was an issue during the election, as you all know. I think that, honestly, just a point of opinion, I think a lot of this is somewhat disingenuous, because all these politicians at every level, they also have investments. Politicians at lower levels do not face the same level of scrutiny, and the rules for their disclosures and the level of transparency they are required to provide are not as robust, and therefore they do not have to reveal as much information as someone who is the prime minister. So that being said, I think if you wanted to look at any politician, you could make these exact same arguments against any of them, anyone who holds any kind of investment at all. And certainly whether you're looking at Pierre Poilievre or any of them, and that was my challenge during the election as well. It was like, hey, Pierre Poilievre, you release the same kind of information and put yourself in the same spotlight. I would like to see transparency from all of them in this regard, so that people are aware. And and then are these steps, are these rules enough to provide protection for taxpayers? You can decide for yourself, but what we're hearing is that Carney is not breaking any rules, that he's following all of the rules, that that the transparency required, those standards are being met, and then it will be up to the voters to decide as his political opponents make political hay out of all of this. I mean, Carney's supporters argue that his experience as a former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor makes him uniquely qualified to navigate Canada's economic challenges, especially amid these U.S. tariffs under Trump. And they point out that his assets were disclosed within the 120-day legal requirement, and the ethics screens are among the most extensive ever for a Canadian leader, which is true. And indeed, he has also faced intense scrutiny being in the roles of the bank, the governor of the banks of England and Canada, both of which require extremely high levels of ethics to be maintained. So, and levels of disclosure as well. That being said, there are many ways to look at the issue, and you will no doubt have your own views on this, shaped largely by what you are seeing through the media and on social media. And then we'll have to decide if Carney is acting in Canada's best interests or his own, as the trade war between Canada and the U.S. continues in the most unpredictable of ways, with Donald Trump, him coming out every day with some new crazy thing, made up numbers, and a new tariff for this and a new tariff for that, and a different reason on Tuesday than there was on Monday. And that's why tonight we're seeing as well this pushback from the governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear. He was on Meet the Press, making waves today, delivering a fiery critique of President Trump's tariff policies, calling them chaos that is hurting American families. He also opened the door to a potential 2028 presidential run. So here's the latest on this. So Beshear, a Democrat in deep red Kentucky, didn't hold back when discussing Trump's sweeping tariffs. Speaking with moderator Kristen Welker, Beshear said, "This is what was it? First across the board, then reciprocal, then industry specific. I think there was a company specific tariff policy proposed." I think I have the clip here. It's such a broken chain of narrative that he shared on Meet the Press. I think better to just listen to him rather than me try to read the quotes. So let's run this clip. Bring it up on the screen. Here's the exchange.
House Republicans launched an investigation, as you know, into Democrats' handling of the state of former President Biden's mental acuity while he was in office. I wonder, Governor, do you think that there needs to be accountability for how Democrats handled the president's mental health while he was in office? This is the right clip.
Well, when you're the governor of Kentucky, you see a president maybe twice a year. So what I think is that we ought to be, Democrats, Republicans, etc., accountable for everything we do. We serve the American people. And so we should be judged by not only our actions, but our results. But in the end, it's this political football that we see going back and forth where a win for one is a loss for another. What we've got to get to is a place where we put the people first and we focus on jobs, infrastructure, public safety, public education, and health care, and make sure all the distractions are pushed to the side. You know, so much of what's thrown at people day after day, especially in the news, it makes them think that they don't count, that they're not important, when what they care about the most is supporting their family. I remember being on a bus with a bus driver who was telling me exactly how much her groceries cost every month that she could barely afford. But she also knew exactly how much the vacation cost that she couldn't. That's where the American people want us to focus.
But Governor, I guess just very quickly, does this investigation on Capitol Hill, do you
let it
think
run.
it's
I've got the
important
other
in
clip
terms
for
of
you,
helping
too.
to restore some of the trust that was lost in Democrats in 2024?
I think the way we restore trust in Democrats is to show the American people that we are laser focused on their everyday needs, that we are not distracted by other issues, but that we know that paying the bills at the end of the month is way too hard. It's too tough for that new couple to afford their first new home. People are worried about paying for their child's next prescription, and some people don't feel safe in their communities. That's where they want us to be, and that's where my focus is.
All right. Well, speaking of your focus, I want to ask you about your focus and your future. You are serving your last term as governor. You have a trip to South Carolina coming up this week. Of course, the early voting state there. So Senator John Barrasso says you're running for president. Are you?
What I'm doing right now is trying to be a reasonable voice out there that hopefully doesn't just bring Democrats back together, but Democrats, Republicans, and independents. You know, this country has gotten far too partisan, too much us versus them. If we can focus on the core issues that lift up every single American, then we can actually move not right or left, but forward as a country. There ain't no such thing as a red job or a blue job. A job is just good for all Americans.
Governor, is it accurate to say you are considering running for president?
Well, right now, what I'm trying to do is speak out for my people and for the American people, especially with this attack on rural America and the big, ugly bill. Next year, I'm the head of the Democratic Governors Association, and because of this attack on rural America, we're going to win a lot of races that people aren't expecting, because a lot of Republican governors have said nothing, and their economies are going to get hit, and their people are going to have to drive 2 hours just to see a doctor when they're sick, whether they're covered by Medicaid or private insurance. And then after that, you know, we'll see. I would have never considered this a couple years ago, but I will not leave a broken country to my kids or to anyone else's. And so if I'm somebody that at that point that I believe that I can heal the country, then I'll take a look at it.
So yeah, there's your dark horse candidate right there. A lot of people looking to Gavin Newsom, but I don't know if he's actually viable, because he's so polarizing right now and has come under so much attack, especially from the MAGA side. And there's been so much turmoil in California. I don't know if he really stands a chance. Strong in one way, very weak in others, vulnerable to political attack. But this guy, Bashir, not as much political baggage there, and potentially a dark horse candidate that could come right up the middle. And yeah, he's admitting he's thinking about it. Now, here's the other clip, I believe, related specifically to the tariffs.
Economic policy. He told me this week he plans to implement blanket tariffs of up to 20% across the board on America's trading partners. As you know, he won your state by some 30 points in 2024. So let me ask you, is this what the people of Kentucky voted for?
No, not at all. This is, what was it, first across the board, then reciprocal, then industry specific. I think there was a company specific tariff proposed. Now we have tariffs on countries if he doesn't like who that country is prosecuting. It is chaos. It is increasing costs. You know, the people of Kentucky, many of them voted for Donald Trump because they thought he'd make paying the bills a little bit easier at the end of the week, and he's just making it harder. I'm seeing small businesses lay people off because of the tariffs on the raw materials that they get, and then Americans put things together and sell them from that. And when a small business is laying somebody off, it's somebody they go to church with. It's somebody who their kids play soccer with. This is going to impact the economy in such negative ways, especially our economy. And then look at what he's doing to critical trading partners like Canada. 22% of our exports go to Canada, or Japan, who he's pushing towards China. Japan invests in Kentucky at a level of almost no other state. You know, the largest Toyota manufacturing facility isn't in Japan, it's in Georgetown, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And our government working kind of quietly behind the scenes. A lot of this, see, Trump, he likes to do stuff out in the public. He likes to get public wins, right? Not so much with the way the Canadian side is negotiating. They're not negotiating in public. You've heard Melanie Joly say in news conferences, we're not negotiating in public. So there's a lot of stuff going on quietly behind the scenes, and you're seeing Canada pivot more to the EU. And yes, America is becoming more isolationist. It's a protectionist economic policy. These tariffs, that's what tariffs are. They're protectionist. And that means America is pulling into itself more and looking externally less. And the American market has not been expanding. That's why even companies like General Motors, if you look at where they have been investing over the last decade, it's been in China, not so much in America. These auto companies are multinational companies, just like the social media giants, the tech companies, they're all multinationals, investors from all over the world. GM building more plants in China because the market there has been expanding. So it has created new opportunities for profit. So they're investing there. You need to have a growing economy in America in order really to attract the investment, not just protectionist tariff policies. We'll see how it plays out. It is a problem for Canada, obviously, but you're seeing Canada trying to set up partnerships and alliances with other countries quietly in the background. Not doing it, in a really loud way. We're looking for a lot of headlines on it, but over time, this might, it's going to, I don't know exactly how it's going to end up, but it's definitely reshaping the world economy. No question about it. So we'll just have to keep, holding on to our wallets and hoping for the best and hoping that, we still have jobs. And we'll see what happens on the 21st, which is the self-imposed deadline that both Canada and, Carney and Trump agreed to try to reach some sort of resolution on these trade issues, 21st of this month. And we'll see if that's even possible. I think that's becoming less and less likely. I think what we'll likely see is some sort of a framework for an agreement that Trump will call a trade deal, when in reality it will be more like something that they had coming out of the UK, which it isn't a full-fledged trade deal. There isn't enough time. But they'll get some sort of a framework of something, my guess. That's my guess. Unless Trump has something else in mind, in which case it really isn't about the economics. And even if they do reach some sort of a deal on the tariffs by the 21st, or even at a later date, all of this, we're going to revisit all of this within a year, because the USMCA free trade agreement, or freer trade agreement, or trade deal that Trump negotiated himself with Canada during his first term, that's all supposed to be renegotiated anyway. And that is the big deal that really forms the basis for all of the trade between Canada and the United States. Not just the tariffs, but the tariffs obviously going to affect things in a very major way, especially if this threat now of a 35% across the board tariff against everything out of Canada. It's just, tomorrow it'll be something different. I've just kind of gotten to the point, like I said the other day, where it's like, meh, whatever. Just we keep covering it every day. It's something different. 35% today, off tomorrow, 50% the next day on this. And it's like Bashir says, it is chaos. And that is costing both economies big time money, because nobody knows what the heck to do. what to invest in, what not to invest in, how to plan for your business. There's just no way to know what the heck is going to happen even a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a year, let alone 6 months or a year. And that hurts the economy, because stability helps an economy grow, because that allows businesses to get a better beat on where things are likely to go, so we can plan and invest and grow and build things. Who's going to build a factory anywhere if you don't know, if you don't even have a sense of where things might end up 6 months or a year from now, let alone 5 or 10 or 20 years from now, when you're looking ahead to see if your investment is likely to pay off? It's just complete chaos. Trump makes stuff up all the time. And even now, he seems to be making up new rules about who's allowed to be an American citizen. Here, look at this. This kind of, I have to say, I thought I did laugh when Trump was running for president the first time, and Megyn Kelly basically zeroed in and gave hit Trump with that question about calling women pigs or whatever it was, whatever that quote was. She said, "You've called women pigs and this and that," and he says, "No, only Rosie O'Donnell." And people laughed. It was a very witty comeback, and Rosie O'Donnell has been in Trump's sights ever since. And the two of them are like oil and water and fighting like crazy. And now tonight we're seeing that Trump says he is considering taking away Rosie O'Donnell's U.S. citizenship. Right here, here's the story. U.S. President Donald Trump says he is considering taking away the U.S. citizenship of longtime rival actress and comedian Rosie O'Donnell, despite a decades-old Supreme Court ruling that expressly prohibits such an action by the government. Quote, "Because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interests of our great country, I am giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship," Trump wrote in a social media post, this being yesterday. He added that O'Donnell, who moved to Ireland in January, should stay in Ireland if they want her, quotation marks. The two have criticized each other publicly for years, an often bitter back and forth that predates Trump's involvement in politics. In recent days, O'Donnell on social media denounced Trump and recent moves by his administration, including the signing of a massive GOP-backed tax breaks and spending cuts plan. The big, beautiful bill is just the latest threat by Trump to revoke the citizenship of people with whom he has publicly disagreed, most recently his former advisor and one-time ally, Elon Musk. But O'Donnell's situation is notably different from Musk, who was born in South Africa. O'Donnell was born in the United States and has a constitutional right to U.S. citizenship. So yeah, this is a crazy story. I don't think Trump doesn't have the constitutional right to revoke any U.S. citizen's citizenship, but he says he might do it anyway. It just gets crazier and crazier. And of Musk, that maybe is a different situation altogether. That threat, there might be real weight behind that. Deporting Musk. This is a guy who invested $270 million in the Trump presidency, helped propel him into the White House. And this is the payback he gets now. Oh, Elon's doing a great job with the Department of Getting Even. I mean, the Department of Government Efficiency. And now, yeah, they're at each other's throats too. Keep watching that one. I don't think that's even gonna. I just can't see how that can possibly happen. So the White House has not clarified what legal grounds, if any, Trump would use to pursue that threat. It follows similar remarks, of course, about Musk and the New York mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani. So he's going to deport all his political enemies. It's just pouring fuel on the fire and giving Trump's opponents more ammunition. It's this all happening against these broader tensions with the Trump administration facing criticism over the Epstein file handling and FEMA's response to the Texas floods, and Trump, really in damage control mode over the Epstein file issue. Let's see if I can find that for you here. He was posting just the other day, yesterday, I believe, telling everybody. Well, we heard the quote 2 days ago where he said, are you still talking about the Epstein files? We have all these other things that we need to be focused on. And and then in this social media post, he tells his bros or his boys to get refocused and move on. I had it here. Let me see if I can find it. Not that one. There it is right there. Okay, over on Truth Social. I'll show you the whole exchange or the whole post here. And this, he's in trouble on this. It's very clear politically. He's got a problem now because this is something that he campaigned on. Pretty much everybody in the MAGA circle has used this as a campaign tactic, right? What's going on with my boys, and in some cases gals, he posts. They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA. And I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. Just him posting that. His choice of words there, a guy who never dies. That's one of the conspiracy theories, that Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. He's just, he's stoking the flames there, man. For years, he says it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files, just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. So now he's saying that the Epstein files are fake, that they don't exist, or that they made them up. What is this? Like, this is a strange post. And now my so-called friends, he continues, now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. When I'm emphasizing words, it's because it's all caps and that's shouting. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she is looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Nothing to see here, folks. Oh, really? By posting that, that's making people within the MAGA camp and others think that maybe Trump wants to move on because maybe there is something to see. They're not buying it. And even Musk posting before that Trump is in the Epstein files, that is adding to all of this. So he's he's backed into a corner. I don't know how he's going to deal with this. The political fallout from this, the way that this is a catch-22 for him now, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He's in a bit of a pickle. And it isn't going to go away either. This is the one. This is a big one. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my Substack, you should, because it's free. What have you got to lose? Nothing. I wrote one this morning. Was it this morning or overnight? So between last night and today, posted that, and it's also about how Trump is hiding behind abused children in order to further his political interests and cover his butt by creating a distraction over the Epstein files, because he made this reference to, I think it was 300,000 missing children, which is kind of using stats again in order to create a political narrative and spin things up, but it's not really an accurate or genuine use of the stats. And I explain it all in my Substack. I will take a little break. I'm going to find the link for that. I'll post it in the chat on the main Rumble channel, so you can go read that, and if you want to. And while you're there, if you can subscribe to that, that would be great. The more the merrier. And I'll be back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I'm back, and I have the link to that Substack. There it is right there. I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it too. I don't post like every day, but usually there's one a week, maybe sometimes two. It depends on what issues kind of pique my interest in a way that I think might be of interest to you guys as part of the Maverick family. Here we go. Over on the main Rumble channel. Hey, there's Dragon. Hello, Dragon. I see you in the chat, and Norfa and Lindy, Longmeadow. All right. Thank you, Arthur, for the confirmation on the broadcast running. I think it's running. Looks like it's frozen right now. Anyway, it's in the chat. Are we running over there? My goodness. I don't know. Bring this down, reduce the load on the computer. Maybe it's all on my end. I'll requeue. Looks like we're probably running. I don't know. If I'm not running, you let me know in the chat. Nope, not frozen. All good. Okay. It's not, I can't get the video to run, but I do see the chat. Strange system. All right, we're going to go to the phones here in just a couple of moments. So let me, again, run a little promo here. right back on the other side, and then we're going to get to the phones and continue our coverage of the top news stories of the day. But then we're going to get Joseph on to start discussing this Superman debate, and then you guys can weigh in as well.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M.
Yeah, we lost our video there. That was very strange. We seem to be having some internet or computer problems. That's really weird. Very odd. All right, let's I'm trying to get this phone system hooked up here. Let me just, we've also got this, yeah, that's frozen. A lot of I don't know if I'm on the air, but maybe we are. Maybe we're not. Yeah, everything's shut down there, folks. So I think we're back. Let me go over to the Rumble channel and see if we're over there. I do apologize, but for some reason, everything was shut down. Okay, we're back. Bizarre. Totally bizarre. I have no explanation for why that happens. I can only theorize and dig deep down into conspiracies. Just bizarre. Okay. We have Joseph. He is over there waiting. Hello, sir. I'm okay. Let me get you up on the screen here. I can see you. You can see me, but they can't see you. Now they can. There you are.
Okay. It still looks the same on my side.
Yeah,
so.
it will. It will, of
Okay.
course.
I'm not used to using Google Meetup, so you're trying something different here, right?
Yeah, well, it's because I want you in the phone system. So this is the way that we can do that for later. And
Okay.
that way you'll be able to hear everybody. Everybody will be able to hear you. If I put you in the other way, we can't do it. We can't do that.
Ah.
So
Okay.
it's just because of the way the phone system is. Yeah, I don't know how I can expand you myself to. Well, it doesn't matter. This is okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
As long as it works, I can hear you, you can hear me, they can hear both of us, I'll be able to hear them. That's what really matters, right?
That's what matters. So, welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us tonight.
Yeah, I saw you said you were going to say talk about Superman. It's spelled Superman, but in, of course, native Hollywood speak, it's pronounced Wokerman.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah, I saw your post. You commented on the Rumble channel. So that came in my email, and it was like Joseph Leonard comments. So I went and I looked, and okay, well, let's have the discussion tonight because it's fun. And I think I did go see it last night, and I think it just opens up a lot of different things facing society right now that really warrant discussion. It touches on so many issues, but the woke thing is the biggest criticism that is sort of out there right now.
I heard Gunn, who was he in prison like Polanski for pedophilia, or did he completely get away with it? I know there's issues of pedophilia with him, so I'm not a fan due to that.
Excuse me, what? I'm not aware of any of that.
Well, accusations. Let me put that in quotes, right? Accusations and whatnot. And he was out of movies for a while because of something that happened. I don't fully know what. I don't remember. I didn't go look. I frankly don't give a damn enough about him to have bothered to look it up. But I did see the interview with him talking about the line being changed and Superman himself saying truth, justice, and the human way. No, truth, justice, the American way from the comic. If you change that, I have zero desire to see Wokerman, just like I skipped Snow Woke movie. Even though I love Gal Gadot, eventually I'll see it when it shows up on a channel that I normally am paying for, but I'm not going on my way to pay for Snow Woke or Wokerman.
But the thing is, I went to see it, right? And I have to tell you, Joe, I thought it was maybe the best Superman movie ever. I thought that I found the script to be exceptionally deep. It uses existentialism as the core of the entire story. And so in so doing, it raises all these questions about what, do you believe in fate? Do you believe in individualism? Do you believe in, it's these issues of self-determination versus things that, we can't control. It's about whether you get to choose the kind of person you want to be, or a human, if you will, or is your destiny predetermined? Are you bound by where you come from? Like if you're born into, say, poverty, are you doomed to an existence of poverty? If you are, see, in the story, just so I can frame this, because I know you haven't seen it and a lot of other people haven't seen it yet. Superman, we know, comes from Krypton, and then his parents send a message. Of course, he came here as a baby, right, in a rocket ship, and then they sent a radio message. And in the movie, the message, the first half of it says that Superman, this is a message from his parents to him. You are very strong. These people are weak, and he takes this message to mean that he is there to help people and help humanity, help the world be a better place, right? So he's there to do good things. But then Lex Luthor gets into his home in Antarctica, right? Hacks in using his DNA, Superman's DNA, a strand of that, to break into the place, unlocking the door using Superman's DNA. And then he gets in and using sort of artificial intelligence and one of his transhuman minions, right? They find this message when they hack into the computer system, and they're able to repair the damaged portion of the message, and then they release it to the public. And in the second half of the message, the parents apparently are telling the world that the message to Superman is that he's supposed to be there to dominate them, to rule over them. And then when Lex Luthor releases that information through the media to the public, the world turns on Superman, right? And then the larger question then becomes, well, but Superman has a choice, doesn't he? He's faced
free will. Yeah.
Am I destined to dominate the world, or to serve the world and to help it be a better place? Am I here for good, or am I here for bad things? And do I have a choice in that regard? So he struggles with that. And then you have to remember too that he has two sets of parents. He has his adoptive human parents. And this is something that the film touches on. This is just one of the layers of the existentialist question that is at the center of all of this. I found the script to be incredibly deep, and it just raises these issues. But I didn't find that the movie was preachy in any way. But it did make me think. That's why I wanted to go see it, because it raised issues like that, issues of, do we have free will? Are we living a life of self-determination? Are we truly individuals? And these are questions that take me back to my university college days, when, in English lit classes and, discussing and political science.
Well, a lot of this sounds reasonable, and you said a couple things that I want to touch on. Yeah. Am I here for good, bad, or to be indifferent? And if I choose not to decide, as the Rush tune goes, you still have made a choice, right? If you're not sowing good, you're complicit in evil you allow. But it's ironic too, because when you bring up nature versus nurture, because I touch on that slightly in my 6th international book that's going to come out hopefully in August, if I don't get hit by a bus tomorrow, right? I'm calling it Project Carpe Diem for now. That won't be the title, but hopefully Amazon exclusive in August. But yeah, the nature versus nurture, good, bad, indifferent, our free will versus God's will, and what is destined or not. And yes, we are given free will, so we are given choice to choose this or that or the other thing. So yeah, I am liking those aspects, but because of that change in the line, I'm just not willing to pay. I will see it eventually when it comes on a channel I have.
Yeah. Well, it's expensive to go to the movies. I don't blame you for not wanting
Well,
to spend the money on
love
the ticket.
doing that.
Yeah.
I've seen The Last Rodeo, fantastic film. I went and saw that Jenna Ortega movie that kind of flopped, Death of a Unicorn. Great movie. I forget what all's out now. I just went and saw a movie the other day. A weird Fathom film, Skill House, but the words light up, kill and hope. Their Skill House, and it, it's a murder movie, and so I walked out halfway through that, even though it was a Fathom movie, and it cost me twice as much as a normal ticket would. So there's some good stuff. I'm looking forward to the Fantastic Four, but it's also weird that you mentioned the Superman thing, that you think it's one of the better ones. To me, and in fact, in my Project Carpe Diem book, Chapter 2, I play with comic book characters. The main character in this coming book has Fantastigal, is her childhood imaginary friend. And each chapter has a dedication to someone. And that chapter I dedicate to Christopher Reeves, R.I.P., brother, right? You will forever be Superman in my heart. I don't care how many Superman films come out.
Yeah, I understand why you might take exception to him changing the line to truth, justice, and the human way.
But from a marketing standpoint, I can't just completely poo-poo it. From a marketing standpoint, yeah, you want it to sell more tickets abroad. And even if China is allowing this one to be shown or not, I don't know.
In this movie, Superman becomes a symbol of, or an allegory of, the United States, and he really embodies the issues surrounding him.
And why change the American way line?
Because they're using existentialism as the framing of the way to tell the story. That's why. Because I don't think he meant it to be in any way an affront to Americanism or America itself. It's because, when I was
Gunn has said it's an open issue of he's an immigrant and he's on the left side of the immigration issue and all that. So Gunn, if he'd have kept his mouth shut about that stuff and let the movie just sell itself, okay, but he's telling us he wants woke messaging in it, and there, whether we choose to see it or not. Find his interviews. He tells you himself.
Yeah, these are issues, though. They're not. When I watched it, I didn't find that the movie was preaching. It's raising the questions. There's a difference, between even
it's a Rorschach test in a way, right?
Even if you watch Star Trek, the original series, that was
very liberal for the time.
Very. And so, it was, delivering very direct messages and promoting liberal ideology in those times.
Because Roddenberry was very much a leftist.
The first interracial kiss on television.
Yep.
Right.
And the one episode with Grisham, remember, the black on one side, white on the other?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, his black is on the other side. So I get that messaging was there, and it wasn't offensive to me then or now.
Yeah.
But these directors with their in your face with
I
it.
didn't find it that way, though, Joseph. I mean,
But
now I'm you're at a disadvantage because you haven't seen the movie yet, and it's only just come out. But I can only say that was my take, was that it makes you think about a lot of different issues. For instance, what gives Superman the authority to become involved in a foreign war and stop it, and take a side? And they use two, hypothetical or fictional nations warring, but you could easily take these two countries, these fictional countries, and say one side is Palestine, the other side is Israel. Or you could even argue that it's Ukraine versus Russia right now. You could frame it in that way. But what gives Superman the right to get involved at all? And certainly without consulting any foreign government or having the backing of people, or there's no democracy involved. And so even though he's out there doing good and sticking up for the little guy in this case, or the side that clearly doesn't have the technology or the weapons to defend itself, the country that's under attack, and he's there to defend them, you could argue, well, he's still being an authoritarian because he's asserting his worldview on that situation and under whose authority. And then there's the additional layer of ethics and the whether he's acting as an authoritarian himself, because he then takes the leader of the country that was invading the other country. He grabs that guy, flies him out into the desert. This isn't actually a scene, but Lois Lane questions him as Superman about this hard and questions the ethics of this. He says, well, he admits that he takes this guy, this leader of this fictional country, and ties him up to a cactus in the desert. And she says, well, I don't remember the exact words, but basically,
aren't you playing judge, jury, and executioner?
Exactly. And then more than that, he talks about how the spikes on the cactus are only little spikes, right? So, but is that okay, or is that torture?
Right. Well, like I said before, I think you're looking for the good, and as I probably would too if I saw it. Others, of course, from a leftist perspective, may be looking for something. It is, if it's done well, from what you're explaining, it may have been done well visually and scripturally, by not scripture, not biblical scripture. I mean scripturally, as in the script, to be a Rorschach test. You hold it up to you, you see one thing. You hold it up to a Hakeem Jeffries or a Justin Premier Blackface, he sees something else.
A lot of people view it in a lot of different ways. My wife, she didn't really care for it because all she really got from it was that was really cheesy. But of course, my wife is a banker, and so her background is not in journalism or English literature or the arts at all, right? So she's viewing it through a different lens.
Yeah.
So
what did you think of the effects, though? My understanding from what I've seen, I mean, our effects ability and CGI, computer graphics interfacing have come so far along that I would imagine that all looks like it's like the Fortress of Solitude is like actually filmed on a set when it's probably in a green bubble and all projected up on it.
Or not even anymore, because you can use all kinds of technology, AI, to create stuff in like an hour. It's amazing what we can do now. And I've been playing with some of that. I'm going to make a movie, I think.
I've already created 3 trailers. I've got a 4th in mind for my forthcoming book in August. I'm already putting together the trailer, and I don't even have the book uploaded on Kindle Publishing yet.
But I have to say,
I'm using AI to make motion trailers too.
So yeah, the effects were very good. I mean, it's certainly all up to standard, and it's all like any movie today. It's amazing visually, right? A couple of shots, a couple of scenes where I thought that it came up a little bit short by today's standards, but still, I mean, it's just, you can't complain about the effects on any of these films. What I really don't like, though, is when I get into a movie and the story takes a back seat to those effects. And in this case, I can't, Joseph, I have to tell you, I thought the script was brilliant because it has so many levels. It was so brilliantly written that it's, if you watch it as a child, it's perfect for kids.
And do we know who wrote? We know
James Gunn wrote it.
Oh, Gunn wrote it also.
So he writes this script, and if you're just a kid watching it, it's got just the right amount for kids.
Yeah.
But it's so deep that I'm sitting there with my background and I am getting like so much out of it. Even like at the very end when they bring in
Sounds
Supergirl,
like you geeked out. They geeked
my God. Oh, it was so, I just thought it was so good.
And in effects compared
to
this Superman to the Christopher Reeves era Superman, which was leaps and bounds beyond its time even then.
Well, yeah, but see, my wife says, though, it's Christopher Reeve was still the best Superman. I'm like, no, this story was so much better. The story, it's just the story, because it isn't even about whether you agree with the woke, if you think it's woke or it isn't woke. It just provokes you to think it, and it. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
And why doesn't Gunn say that?
I don't know.
Instead, he has to come out and pick a side.
I don't think.
Frankly,
that's not the clip I heard from him. I didn't hear like a longer interview. I did see the one clip where he just responded to the question by Variety at the opening, the grand opening, right? Where he said that he just kind of chuckled when asked about it and said, "Well, I think this is really just a film for everyone." He didn't really.
It depends on what news outlet you see clips from. I like the conservative stations. Obviously, they're playing up his clips of his. It's like Matrix 4. I saw that. I did go see that in the theater, actually. I said, I'm going to see it so I can write a review so you don't have to, because the Matrix 4 co-creator of the Matrix said out front, this is going to be a trans allegory, right? The character's name, Switch, wink, wink, nod, nod, nod. Trans allegory. It's like, so it's purposefully woke, and you could see the one scene, especially, that kind of tried to cram a whole lot of woke messaging in. But beyond that, Matrix 4, again, a great film, and I recommend seeing it if you get a chance. I just don't give them the money. And I'm a big fan of the Matrix trilogy, but I've always liked the Roland Emmerich Matrix film that came out in '99 before the first Keanu Reeves Matrix film called The 13th Floor. To me, based on the book Simulacron 3 from the 60s, is a far more realistic type thing. And without giving spoilers, it's imagine your SimCity game and you have VR goggles and you can go into your city and interact. The 13th Floor is like that. So to me, that's more plausible reality of a Matrix type film.
I could argue, even from what I saw, that Superman is an anti-woke movie. And I say that because it also very intelligently touches on a lot of these other issues and even conspiratorial issues like nanotechnology, the use of nanobots, tracking of people by injecting things into people's blood. There's a scene where Superman is attacked by one of these sort of transhumans on the Lex Luthor side, the metahumans, they call them, right? Who are sort of like almost like X-Men type mutants, if you will, right? But transformed. And this transhuman attacks Superman with these nanobots, nanotechnology, which
not
is
a first that's been employed.
It's derived from kryptonite. It engulfs him, and then they actually go down into his throat and they fill his lungs with this nanotechnology, these nanobots. They're trying to suffocate him. Right. And so this is obviously an an issue or an idea that people have in their heads where we're hearing about this stuff, right? Where people are worried about that. He's addressing that in a very intelligent way. And then even the way that Superman deals with it as an attack is quite intelligent. And so from that perspective, you could say that it's an anti-woke movie because it's showing that kind of technology as a threat to humanity.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from you is lightening my stance a little. I will consider seeing it in the theater, probably a matinee. I'm not going to pay full price. But to your point of it, you could perceive it as anti-woke. I will defend M. Night Shyamalan to my grave over his Knock at the Cabin Doors movie. Great movie, great twist at the end, like all his movies. But in it, there's a gay couple. Now, most people would say, oh, well, it's pandering to the, Rainbow Alphabet Mafia community, therefore it's woke. And no, I've seen him do interviews and I've seen the movie Knock at the Cabin Door. It is the only film I've ever seen where I dare say there had to be a gay couple as the primary couple, because it was used then as fodder over, well, why are they being attacked? Is it just because they're gay, or is that just a matter of coincidence? So that's why that's in that script, and it needed to be anti-woke to prove the point. This has nothing to do with that, but part of the overall story is making you think, is that an underlying motivation or not? That's a very deep script also. And that's, again, Knock at the Cabin Door. I love that film. So, maybe I'll see this.
Yeah, the other reason I think this script was brilliant is because James Gunn really was delivered a list of points that he had to touch on, or even restrictions that he had to live by. Okay, there were certain things he had to do in the script that were absolutely required. Like he had to introduce certain characters because they're trying to reconfigure the DC universe moving ahead for the next decade, right? So he was told, you have to bring in the Justice Gang. There has to be a scene in here with Supergirl. You have to, you have to have Crypto, the super dog in there. Right, you have to.
I hear a lot of people complaining about the Crypto dog.
I don't know why. I love that's the main reason I wanted to go see the dog, because I saw the trailer, and in the trailer, Crypto saves Superman, right? And I'm like, oh, I gotta go see the dog.
Right? A lot of people are just like, oh my God, you cheapened it so much with the Superman has to have a pet. I don't know. Again. But I get that sentiment, but at the same time, right, it's part of humanity. We love our animals. Why couldn't Superman have a dog,
and
right?
It's there for the kids, but it's all, even Crypto, right? That is a character with some depth to him. I was blown away. And so even with all these things that James Gunn had to do within the script, in order to satisfy the requirements for marketing and all of these commercial interests and things, he still delivered this really layered, deep exploration of social issues, layering in the current reality of the geopolitical situation facing the world right now, the reshaping of America, should America be, America first, and more isolationist, or should it still play a role on the world stage as the world leader? Superman embodying kind of that, Lex Luthor as running Luthor Corp and corporate interests versus, the socialist aspect of it. All these issues layered in there, and it's just so intricately woven, so intelligent. It's so thought-provoking.
Yeah, as Trump showed, America first was never America alone or America only, as shown by the bombing in Iran to set their. He's always been consistent in saying you will not be allowed to have a nuke. And that's been my position all along, too. And no, I don't want boots on the ground there either. I hope the Iranian people can topple this regime, but I doubt that's going to happen. But at any rate, you've not changed my opinion, but you've softened my stance. So I think perhaps I will go to Free Popcorn Tuesday at my MJR theater to see it as a $5 matinee, and I get free popcorn. Okay, I'll take a chance on it then.
Well, I would always say that one should never judge a book by its cover or a movie by its poster, or just a review from or comments from Jesse Waters on Fox News, whose comments came, I think, without him actually seeing the movie either. So
absolutely.
I would hope that you wouldn't have a fully formed opinion until at least at some point seeing the film. Like, I didn't go see the last Barbie movie. But
I loved it. I saw it 4 times. Yeah. It was,
but it's not aimed at me, right? I have no particular interest in it. I suspect that it was very woke.
There's some woke, but there's some conservative.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Get out of here! You did not.
4 times. I loved it.
To see the
in
Barbie
the
movie?
Ending credits, pregnant Barbie is in the film.
Pregnant Barbie?
A baby in the womb is in the credits. So it's balanced. It goes at both sides. Like the joke in the Barbie film.
Did you really see it 4 times?
4 times? Yes, I'm not lying.
So you went to see Barbie, which is absolutely, it was woke, right? You went to see that 4 times?
In parts.
You went to see that 4 times, but you're like, I'm not going to see Superman. What is that?
But I knew Barbie was balanced, and that's all I asked.
Barbie was balanced.
I want comedy to be for and against all sides. Balanced. Pot shots at everybody.
Okay,
like in the boardroom, the 5 male board members saying, we're a feminist company. We have a female janitor.
That's
a great fucking joke.
So you liked it? It was a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw
watch
Barbenheimer, both of those in the opening weekend.
I didn't not go see it because I thought it was too woke. I didn't go see it because it's just like, it's the Barbie movie. I'm like,
no, there's enough. There are adult themes in it, right? The whole Ken Barbie and the feminism and women are empowering themselves now, and Ken, you're nothing.
Justin Trudeau went to see it with his kids too. I think he wore pink when he went. And what about you? Did you wear your America shirt, or did you dress up in pink for the Barbie movie?
No, I did not dress up in pink for the Barbie.
I used to have. My wife bought me years ago, back in like the 90s, a pink dress shirt. And I was like, oh, okay.
Hey, real mention. When I was younger, when I was employed back in the 90s, I had it. I would say it was peach, but people wanted to call it pink. Okay, whatever. I'm man enough to wear that. If I like the shirt, I'll wear it on you, right?
I wore it. I wore the pink shirt. I even wore it on television. I had a matching tie and a snazzy suit. And I think I looked pretty fashion forward for the day.
Well, thanks for having me on again, Rick. It's been too long, my brother. But I'm going to go because, as I said, I've got some work to do for my book to make sure it drops in August.
You don't want to? You're not going to stick around for a few minutes while we take a couple of phone
calls? No. All right.
Well, let's put the number up on the screen here.
Calls, yeah.
I don't know.
If somebody wants to give me shit like you did for seeing Barbie, let's let them call in.
Okay. Well, I'm not giving you heck for. I'm surprised. That's all. I'm not giving you heck for seeing it. It's all cool with me. Go see whatever you want, man. To me, it was more like a sort of a kids film. And
Frozen on my side.
You're back.
Oh, okay. You've.
All right. There's the number you guys can call in at 1-647.
Yeah. No, there were a lot of adult messaging themes in it too. So yeah, it was one of those like many cartoons. I love seeing the cartoons because there's a lot of adult stuff that go over the kids' heads in those animated movies.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna run the little promo with the phone number for people to call in. So just give me a second here while we do that, and then Joseph and I can kind of host a couple of these calls before he has to sign off tonight. Here's the number to call. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay, we're just waiting for Joseph to come back, and you can join the call at 1-647-734-4220. Punch in that PIN number at 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign when prompted to do that. And you can join the conversation and talk about Superman or some of these other issues surrounding the top news stories of the day today. But that's the topic du jour, and we'll be back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, we're back with Joseph Leonard from Detroit, and we're just going to hold the fort down here for a moment while we wait for somebody to join in by phone. Oh, somebody's putting a big heart thing up on the screen there.
You changed the phone number, didn't you? Different number now?
No, well, we've got the same number, but I don't know when the last time you were on.
It was been a few months.
Yeah. So this is the current number. It's consistent from show to show now, but yeah, we did have a change in the system.
I was joking with Mike stealing from you the phone, and Mike Gardner was Savaged Unfiltered has got a call-in number now too. So,
well, he's a brave soul because you never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates. Who's on the line with us?
It's Dragon, as always.
Hey, buddy, how have you been? I haven't seen you, heard from you in forever. So.
Well, it's good to see you, Joseph, and happy to see that you are pretty good and doing well, and that your writing still ongoing. So keep going, my friend.
Yeah. So I take it you said you weren't going to go see the movie either, Dragon, right?
I'm gonna wait till it's come on the screen in my house, but or maybe try to find it on the stream. But no, I'm not gonna pay for that because it's too expensive nowadays.
Well, it is very expensive. Oh my God!
Like
you
I
should have
said,
seen the
I'll
price
go.
of the popcorn yesterday. Oh my God, Joe!
That's why I'm going to go on Tuesday. Free popcorn Tuesday here for me. $5 ticket for a matinee and free popcorn. Then $5 for a drink. So it'll cost me $10, but I'll have the movie, the popcorn, and the drink all for $10. That's reasonable. I can live with that.
Well,
I don't eat popcorn anymore because when I was at the shelter at some point, I did eat some popcorn with some friends and popped one of my tooth with one of the seeds. So since then, no popcorn anymore.
Well, real butter costs extra, especially if they layer it on. And I'll tell you, you can easily spend, like, just for two people to go to the movies. If you don't have coupons or you don't buy it in some discounted way by admission, you're easily into like $60, $70 for a movie and, 2 soft drinks and some popcorn. You can easily get there at these cinemas now. I'll tell you, I miss the old days. The before times. There used to be a theater here in town. It was just an older style movie theater, and just not as extravagant, but the prices were much lower. Not as big a cushy seat, but the price was lower. So I miss those days.
Yeah, well, they're selling like the MGR Theater by me. One of them is an IMAX. The other used to be called the Epic, which was their version of IMAX they had before the IMAX came in when they remodeled Theater 11 to be an IMAX. They redid Theater 1, the Epic, now into laser 4K. So, yeah, they're trying, and there's a whole game playroom with big screen TVs and stuff. So they're trying, and merchandise, of course. So they're trying to be a little more than just a standard movie place now for that money.
The other thing that
in Montreal.
Sorry, go ahead, Dragon. Go ahead.
Well, in Montreal, real quick, you got Laser Quest, you got arcade game and whatnot into a single cinema theater. So yeah, I mean, and it's probably like everywhere. It's a thing, right? So, and I remember when I was a kid, probably in the 90s, I invited my dad because I did won some ticket. And back in the days, it was like, coupon gift that you were giving to people, $10 maybe for a movie. And I mean, I had 2, so I invited my dad in. Probably $10 for, having a little evening on a good movie. Jeez.
Yeah, I went with my dad, R.I.P. Dad. Wait. Do you remember when the first reboot of the Planet of the Apes with Wahlberg came out? They kind of shunned that film now because all the sequels are now based off of the originals movies rather than that Wahlberg one. That's kind of an anomaly. I went with a theater. My dad and I went into Detroit to actually see it. It was one of the few places, for whatever reason, that were showing it then. And since he knew we both loved Planet of the Apes from the originals and even the TV series, we went to see that together, which I thought was a very good film. But yeah, it's not part of the overall canon now.
Well, so this Superman film, it also offered the 3D version, but
another $5 for the glasses. No,
I just not into it, man. I never wanted to do the 3D thing. It makes my eyes go buggy. I can't deal with it.
Well, the 3D is much better now with the way they're filming it and with the 3D high definition cameras.
Yeah.
And you no longer have the red and blue, thingies, right? Paper glasses. They're actual plastic with really good lenses that turned the 3D into much better than what it used to be when we were growing up. But yeah, I but an extra $3, $4, $5 for it. know. Maybe a cartoon that's in 3D. I see occasionally some of those. Like the Elio one about spacemen, and people are trying to call it woke because it's about a Hispanic family. It's like, the skin tone of and the sex of the people involved in those films are a minor thought. They're nothing to do with the overall, and it's a human nature film and humanity, and the kid growing up, his parents died, he feels alone, his aunt's trying to raise him, and he feels like she doesn't want him, so he begs aliens to abduct him. It's a great cartoon. That's Elio, and I think that's a Pixar. I saw that in 3D. Very good.
Do you think Superman should they deport Superman because he's an illegal alien?
Well, that's part of the issue of what they brought up, and that's part of the issue. Again, I wish Gunn would have just kept his mouth shut about it and sold the film like you were saying it, Rick. But indeed, he was on a left-wing station, and they kept pressing him about the immigration thing, and we're all immigrants and blah, blah, blah. There's a difference between legal and illegal and all that. And he allowed himself to be put in a corner, and he gave the left-wing talking point, and of course, conservative media ran with it.
So let me ask you, like, if this was a real thing, say, what should we do with
intelligence being? No, I think you welcome him. That's different than rapists, murderers, and people wanting to steal jobs. Although they make the big deal about, well, he stole a Daily Bugle. Right, Clark Kent. He
wasn't born in the country, entered illegally as a baby, not his choice. Somebody shot him into the country in a rocket ship. His home planet completely destroyed. He has no place to go back to.
Yeah,
he's in America.
That's a whole other situation.
They've hidden his identity. They've faked his ID. He's working illegally in the country. So what do you do with a guy like that if you right? And then actually they do. He does. There is a warrant out for his arrest through the Department of Justice in the movie, and he ends up turning himself in.
That's part of the whole left message of it.
And it wasn't that they arrested him for being an illegal alien so much as they saw him as a threat to the country because of his superpowers. And
these are all issues that would be a whole new can of worms, and all bets are off if it happened in reality. That's not the reality.
So you said you would welcome Superman as a member of society and give him citizenship?
Given his unique situation, absolutely.
Yeah. What about you, Dragon? What would you do?
Well, depend on the question. If you ask me what would have happened to Superman, would have ended up with abusive parents? What would have been the uprising of the superhero? Because there's a school of thought that have been questioning this, and actually, it would have been probably a problem for the world, because this guy would have been probably a psychopath at the end of the day, but that's another story.
Nature versus nurture again.
That's at the center of it all, right? So even though, and I think what we will find is in a subsequent movie that this second half of the message that Lex Luthor deciphered with his metahumans, their assistants, I think you'll find that they will revisit this in the next movie or in a subsequent movie and show that he fabricated it or altered it, edited it to misrepresent the true what the true message was. But at the center of it all, it is Superman destined to be the ruler of the world and an authoritarian, or does he choose to be a person or a human, if you will. And he says in the movie he chooses to be human and that he's as human as anybody else because he chooses to be, and he's there to help people. And it also comes down, drag into something you kind of touched on, his parents. He has two sets of parents, and his human parents are the ones really who raised him and instilled his morals and values. And it's those values and the choices that he makes through life
that are supposed to be American, and I dare say US and Canada, values and principles of good. Yes, hence the American way. Because again, I hate the whole, I'm not an American. Well, yes, I am. So are you, Rick. So is Dragon, right? Canada, US, Mexico is North America, and we got the South. So I hate the people calling me an American all the time. It drives me crazy.
Well, what would you rather have them call you?
I don't know, but citizen of the United States, but they say American because it's just easier, right? It's just lazy speak.
I don't think that we consider ourselves in Canada to be American at all. I don't really hear Canadians.
But yet you are. Yeah.
We're on North America, but we're not Americans. The United States is America. Mexico is, it's not America.
On the terms we've come to accept them, yes. And I don't like that we accept them as we do. But.
See, and that's why, too, this renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, I mean, it's a unilateral decision. I think it's a bigger issue than a lot of people might realize. It's about framing people's reference or the way that they view the world. It's a very political thing. I don't agree with it.
America as North America, both U.S. and Mexico. Right. Why should it be Mexico? And he's not calling it the Gulf of the United States. Gulf of America, to me, is reasonable.
Because
it's not favored either.
Because there is history behind how it became known as the Gulf of Mexico. And this is a decision that was reached over. This is something that was agreed upon internationally over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And for Donald Trump to then come along and then just say, nope, it's the Gulf of America. I don't think that's right. He's without any consultation. I
can understand that opinion. I absolutely can understand that.
You want to change it? You talk about it. But that's a very authoritarian thing to do.
Yeah. But don't, like Mexico relies upon us. Our tourism dollars, Canadian tourism dollars even too, right? Cancun and Cozumel and Mexico City itself. I mean, if it weren't for a lot of the money coming from north, both the US and Canada, Mexico would be even more a third world shithole than some of the places there are.
Have you gone to Mexico?
Yeah. Cancun, Cozumel. Yeah. Again, I've not wandered around the streets of Mexico City as I wouldn't dare. I don't think it's safe enough. But as long as you're on the touristy campuses, things are great. Things are wonderful, but it's our money that make it that way.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I've when I was in Mexico a few times, I ventured off the resort and went to some different places. You have to be careful, of course, as a tourist, because you don't know where you're going.
You do in Detroit.
That's right. In
Toronto.
I found I found some places in Detroit to be as dangerous as anything I ever saw in Mexico. So, there's that.
But see, Rick, you did brought a good point about self-identity, about whether or not you consider yourself as an American or not. But I got a question for both of you. Is Superman Canadian or American?
Well, that's the whole question about citizenship, right? So he's an illegal immigrant.
He's a citizen of the world. I have no problem with he's a citizen of the world residing in the U.S. or whatever. But yeah, again, the whole upset with me is the comic book was made a way to be a way. And a lot of those things, though, too, I understand we're shifting from, because, you know, a lot of that was driven home during World War II, and it was propaganda. So,
see, I didn't find that the film, again, I encourage you to go see it, because I didn't find that they were really deviating or perverting or distorting the storyline at all. I found it was sort of an extension and an elaboration on it, a way to expand, is the better word, expand the thought provocation.
That's the way to look at it. And that is always the argument in like G.I. Joe. They did the same before all the woke stuff now. Back, was it the 90s? I think the G.I. Joe global.
Actually, the G.I. Joe was in 1983, if I'm correct.
Right,
from
and they
Marvel,
made him a soldier of the world.
I was a fan of the cartoon when I was a kid.
If anybody else wants to join the conversation, the number is 1-647-734-4220. The PIN is 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. It's on the bottom of the screen, scrolling.
Yeah,
Joseph did touch a good point about G.I. Joes on a certain point, because the core question of the G.I. Joes and what was the message behind the G.I. Joes when I was a kid, and the movies that they have made not so long ago have completely changed. And the message, or the enemy, or whoever, how you want to call it, the propaganda behind it has changed too. So
yeah, I think you need to change the phone number again. You need to get 1-800-R-WALKER or 1-800-MAVERICK or 1-888-MAVERICK, or, you know, you need a branded number so you could give it in a local alphabetic
Well, when we get a
term.
budget, when there's some money, we'll revisit that. We did have the other phone system for a while, but it was bankrupting us. So because of the way that system worked, so I had to develop something different, and that's why we use this. And
yeah, that's understandable. My show is still, third season in, I say low key, low budget, low production value. I don't have the production values you have even yet.
This actually works fairly well.
Due to money.
Work well, and it's accessible to everybody. And it does cost me money every month for this phone and video system, in addition to the other streaming system we have connected to it. It's a long story, but this is considerably less money than what we were using with the old radio style phone-in call queue system that we had.
Yeah, this stuff is expensive, people.
Oh, yeah. So, but it's worth it to give people a voice. And that's, partly what we're here to do every night, is to give everybody a chance to weigh in and speak. And it's interesting how people handle that or don't.
Yeah.
Especially when there's
all right. Well, you've convinced me enough that I will go.
Okay.
Popcorn Tuesday.
Cool.
$5 to see it, and I'll send you an email after I've seen it.
Okay. I look forward to that. Really do. Yeah.
All righty, I'm going to duck out and get back to my book work.
All right, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Good talking to you again, Dragon, too. Bye-bye.
All right, take care, my friend. Joseph out of Detours. So there you go. So you still haven't seen it, and you're still not going to go see it, even after tonight's discussion, Dragon.
Well, I'll try.
You don't have to.
Although it's expensive, but I'll try.
Yeah, you don't have to go see it. Find a pirated stream, I guess, like so many others these days online. There must be a way to see it for free online. Sometimes people record it with a video with their phone or something and then post it, But
yeah.
But it was great to see it on the big screen, I'll say that.
That's the thing. I mean, I don't like to use those stream actually, because I do respect the people who have done the videos or the musics and whatnot. I mean, it's basically a form of stealing. So, and I mean, I will agree on that part that it's stealing, but we'll probably see about it. So, because yeah, it sounds like a good movie though.
Yeah, well, you could argue that the cost of the popcorn and the movie tickets at $60 or $70 for two people to go is highway robbery in itself, right? So,
yep.
But we all pay for those high ceilings and the big cushy seats and the experience of going to the movies, and there is that aspect to it too. So you pay for that experience. So let me just run the number again to give people a chance here to weigh in as we enter the last leg of the program here tonight. Here's the number to call if you'd like to join the conversation tonight. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay, and we're back. So, the other thing, Dragon, is that somebody messaged me encouraging me to go see the F1 movie, because they used these really cell phone derived video cameras using 4K sensors to shoot a lot of that movie for IMAX. And I can't go see it in IMAX because there's no IMAX theater here. But it really said to me that the technology to make movies these days has progressed at such a rapid pace, and it has achieved such an incredible level that the movies they're making now, you're seeing stuff that simply wasn't possible even just a few years ago. And yet that technology is stuff that will soon be available at the same level of quality at prosumer or even consumer levels, I would say within the next 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years.
Wow. Well, it's true that if you look at the technology, how it did evolve in the last decade, I will say, the level of work you can do with a phone is exponential, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that the level of production that you can do with a phone can surpass probably what you can do with whatever camera you can find that, is heavy, that you got to hold on your shoulders, like the one you probably used back in your days.
Yeah, well, I mean, even this right here, okay, this is a high definition camera. It's on a 3-axis gimbal for stabilization, and it fits in your pocket, right? And I have this because this is part of what my business is, and so I've been doing some video production work of late, and I've been using just stuff like this kind of technology. Just years ago, you used to have to wait. I would carry around a camera that was like this big. The first 4K camera that kind of came out was like they had these they're quite large. And then just back in the day, even just to shoot video for the news, 35, 40 pound cameras, and the resolution was like VHS quality at 240 lines of resolution, and then HD is like with 720, and then you've got 1080p, and now 4K, and it fits in your pocket, right? Where before stuff, these cameras used to be 40 pounds. When I first got into the TV game years and years ago, there was like a 30-pound camera and about a 35-pound video recorder, and the tapes were 4 times the size of just this camera, which is just insane. And so now to shoot that F1 movie for IMAX, right? For IMAX, where they used to have these huge cameras just to shoot IMAX when IMAX first came out, and people are like, wow, that's incredible. Now they're compact enough to put into the front bumper of one of those F1 cars or into the spoiler on the back. Just the camera, like this little camera. And they were able to condense it all with the help of Sony to make it weigh just the same amount as what would be on the car to begin with, so that they don't affect the aerodynamics or the weight distribution on the car at all. Because when you're at speeds of like 180 or 200 miles per hour, any kind of deviation from where there's balance on the car or the way that the spoilers are configured or anything like that can throw the handling of the car right off. So it's very critical, and they're able to mount these things on the cars to get these shots. And then Marshall McLuhan used to say, he's not like, this is a famous quote, the medium is the message. And so the way you're able to shoot these movies, the technology that you're using, that sometimes dictates what the content is going to be, because now you can shoot stuff that you couldn't shoot before. So now you're getting shots that are incredible and are impressive for people to watch. And so the content itself is what drives the content, essentially determining what it is that the movie will be about, which is one of the reasons the whole F1 movie was made and why it was made for IMAX. It's because it's like a spectacle. Racing is a spectacle in itself. Then you layer on the availability of the technology, and then there's this decision made, let's make a movie about this. If without the technology, the movie would not have been shot at all, very likely, because it wouldn't have been impressive visually. But that's why this weekend I didn't take the advice to go see F1. I went to see the Superman movie instead, because I was more interested in the script and the layering of the issues and the thought provocation that came with that, versus just going to watch a visual spectacle, which is worthwhile in itself. But I wanted something more cerebral. So strangely, I went to see a Superman movie, which on the surface you might think, that's just a kid's movie, right? How deep could that be? And yet in reality, this was a movie that I found to be extremely thought-provoking, very, very deep, dealing with all kinds of political, social, and philosophical issues. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, that's the thing. And it's, I think, the key of how people doesn't look at movie nowadays with that open mind, if I can put it this way, is that they go already with a critical mind instead of going there just to watch a movie and just to see where are the open question in the movie. So,
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, after seeing the movie, after seeing Superman, it still comes down to this. And I kind of touched on this the other night when we ran the 3 old Superman radio serial dramas as part of the news program, and then segued into the Maverick Midnight Matinee, where we ran the old radio shows. And I do apologize, by the way, because the episodes, because some of it was pre-recorded, the titles on some of those 3 episodes were not correct. But you still got the shows, and they were not edited, so you still got the full effect. But I apologize for the confusion on the titling of those 3 episodes, just to make you aware. But at the end of the day, it came down to this, Dragon. It's like we all have a little bit of Superman in us, because it's all about personal choice. I am a person who believes in free will and the ability of humans to make personal choice. I don't believe that we are a slave to destiny. We have choices that we can make collectively. And even in the face of a chaotic reshifting or realignment geopolitically, as we face what some people would say a storm, even, that we can't stop what is coming, or we don't have a choice. All we can do is kind of batten down the hatches and just accept whatever fate is about to deliver us. I don't entirely buy into that. I can't entirely control what you do, and I can't control everything in the world per se, but I can have some influence. And by controlling my reality and making personal choices, and we all then have some impact on what is going on in the world around us. And we have an impact individually as well as collectively, and therefore we can all choose to be an influence for good. And we can be true to ourselves, and we must be true to ourselves. We shouldn't live a lie. We should strive or find inspiration, I think, in that Superman movie, to just do good things with our lives and to help those who need help, to give people a hand up. Because even at the beginning of that movie, too, the important lesson right off the very beginning of the movie, Superman crash lands in Antarctica. And the reason he does that is because it says in the movie, for the first time ever, Superman lost a battle, which shows right off the very beginning, we are all vulnerable. No one is invincible. And sometimes even the strongest of us needs help, even Superman. Or if you want to look at the allegory, if you want to look at the way Superman represents the United States, even a superpower, like the United States, the most powerful nation on earth, even the United States needs friends, allies, and sometimes even help. Because while at one point you might think you're invincible, it's no such thing. At some point, every person, every nation can face defeat. And in that moment, you may need help. And sometimes it's the people who have the least amount of power. They can come to your rescue.
Very true.
So I'll throw it over to you for a final thought before we wrap up tonight, Dragon, and take it away.
Well, real quick, remember one thing, guys. Well, remember that Superman is actually Canadian because his creator is actually Joe Shushner from Toronto, born in 1914. So remember that every time you read or see your superhero with the cape and the blue color. And the other thing is that, well, Rick, you always been my superhero and my Superman because you always been there when I needed. And in the bad moment of my life, you always been a reminder that, well, we are strong and we can probably go against all the bad flows of the life and just kicking the nuts of those bulls around us.
The bullies, you mean? My recommendation, ladies and gentlemen, is never kick a bull in the nuts. Or you're going to be in a lot of trouble. I can only tell you that. So with that, everybody, there's a little piece of advice to take away with you tonight. Never kick a bull in the nuts. And more importantly, just remember, we are all stronger together. And with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Maverick News tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern on
the flip side.
The flip side.
living alone, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a bird, a heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a bird. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.